Oh, I have to push the right side, not the left side. Sorry, I was doing the you can now board button. You think after 3 years I'd figured this out. Once again, welcome to the West Jordan City Planning Commission meeting, for December 17th, 2017, or 19, December 17th, 2019. I can read it right in front of me. First item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Commissioner Thomas, it was Commissioner England, you're first. Or is it?
Just a motion to approve the minutes from December 3rd.
And I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Commissioner England, a second by Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is the Airport Industrial Condos, 7272 South Airport Road. It's a preliminary condominium conversion in an M1 zone. Ross Johnson is the applicant. Would you step forward and tell us what you would like to do?
In the maybe far distant future, having the opportunity to split the two halves into quarters would be an advantage to somebody like the Hardwick Machinery being in the north half since 2007. We don't see any changes happening. Physically, nothing's happening to the buildings. I already built it with quarters, power systems and access and everything is already in quarters, but we've been using it. I've been using it as a business, the south half, and Justin has been using the north half. So it's physically, we don't see any changes, but we're just going to divide it into condo quarters and make it more valuable for the future. Thanks. Any questions?
Any questions for the applicant?
Mark knows it real well, so we're good. Thank you.
Mr. Forsyth for the city.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. So the proposed condominium conversion is located in an M1 zone, which is the city's light manufacturing zone. So some of the surrounding uses, we've got manufacturing and warehouse to the north and south, vacant land to the west, and to the east is the South Valley Regional Airport. As the applicant said, there's really not a whole lot of changes. Condominium conversion really isn't going to have any impact at all on these neighboring properties, so we really don't see any issues there. The overall lot size will remain the same. They're not changing any property lines. The only thing that's changing is just splitting the building into four units. So these are the units here, as you can see here. So there's the ground floor is mostly warehouse space, and then the upper floor is more of a space for office. Each of the units have their own front entrance in the front of the building, and then their own bay door at the back. And then you can't really see it on the plat here, but they've actually made some changes since this report went out. The interior stairways are shown on the plat now, so each of those units has their own interior stairway to access the upper floor. So there's not really any need for any common areas within the building. Everything's accessible within that. So on the outside of the building, everything within the lot's going to be part of the common space. So that includes parking, outdoor storage, driveways, landscaping, things like that. There's two accesses, one on the northeast corner and one on the southeast corner. Both of those are cross-access easements. So those are just going to match what's shown on the existing plat, so those haven't changed at all. And the parking will also stay the same. Currently there's 43 stalls there. When we calculated the existing parking, the total required is about 37 stalls, so they've So we don't really see a whole lot of change in terms of use or parking requirements, so the 43 that they have there should be sufficient to meet both current and future needs. As far as the utilities go, water and sewer, building's fully connected there. We don't see any need to expand those lines or increase the size of those. What they have there should be sufficient. Then the overhead power lines, usually with subdivision plats, we require those to be buried. However, in 2008, there was this lot and several other lots within that subdivision got a waiver from the Planning Commission for the requirement to bury those, and staff feels that that waiver should essentially be honored in this case. So we're not requiring those to be buried. So the plat's in pretty good condition. There's just a few documents that staff still needs for final approval. One of those is a current title report and then a condominium declaration as required by state law. So, so we should be getting those before we get the Mylar to record. So based on that, staff is recommending approval of the preliminary condominium conversion plat.
Are there any questions? I have one. Obviously, as you split the building into four, do we have any prohibitions or issues if somebody wanted to, let me back up, the rear parking lot, so that the area on the left-hand side of the screen, does that remain open?
Yeah, so that'll remain as part of the common area. That
Okay.
you're referring to the outdoor storage yard?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
part of the common area.
That was my question.
Sorry, I stole your question. Any other questions for Mr. Forsyth? This has been noticed as a public hearing, so if there's anybody who wants to talk about this particular project, we'll open up the public hearing for public comment at this time. I'm going to close the public hearing. The applicant had, you had a,
Just adding the, making the access a little easier by putting that fence on the north side to a gate.
okay. Will you come back up and just say that so that we can hear that and it's on the record?
Yeah, it'll just be easier for any trucks wanting to go around, and I think the fire marshal would like that too. Just adding the gate to the outside, yeah, there, so flatten that out. It's in the process of making a lift gate, so it'll lift out of the snow. So that'll be nice, because they're both common driveways. That way you can actually drive both ways.
Okay.
But easy, thank you.
We'll bring it back to the planning commission. Commissioner Thomas.
If there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and make the motion. Based on the information and findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move the Planning Commission approve the preliminary condominium conversion plat for the airport industrial condos located at 7272 South Airport Road in an M1 zone with the conditions of approval listed on this report.
Commissioner Hatch.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thomas and a second by Commissioner Hatch. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? A vote counts unanimous 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the West Jordan Community Arts Center, 8135 South, 2200 West, conditional use for recreational and entertainment indoor, and the preliminary site plan in a PF zone. So there's actually two, so can I clarify? We're actually doing two items then. we're doing the conditional use and the preliminary site plan.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Elgin, you're the applicant for the city of West Jordan. The time is yours.
We actually have the consultants from Method Studio, Jessica Batty and Todd Kelsey, here to do the presentation.
Hi, my name is Todd Kelsey. I'm with Method Studio Architects. I'm the principal in charge of this project. Jessica Batty is our project manager. This project is a city-owned facility. We're working with the steering committee. It's approximately a 15,000 square foot building that is a community use facility, multi-purpose for a wide variety of community uses. One thing we wanted to talk about is just real quick where we're at within the process. We're currently in schematic design at this point. We're looking to go out to bid in late spring and start construction with a hard bid process at the first part of summer. So you can see on this spectrum over here, that's where we're at in the current process, and we're hoping to have a move-in period somewhere in 2020, summer of 2021. The site is approximately 3.5 acres. We're adding 50 stalls. We're sharing the existing stalls next to the adjacent parcel, the community pool. The building, like I said, is about 15,000 square feet. The main programmatic elements within the building are a large assembly multi-purpose space, 250 fixed seats. There's also a multi-purpose room that is divisible in two. It's about 1,800 square feet. And there's a large multi-purpose lobby. There are some back-of-house support spaces to support the functions within the room, a couple dressing rooms, some restrooms, some storage areas. The project will have an access road through the parking lot and a drop-off zone near a plaza near the main entry point. On the screen here, you can see the different programmatic elements within the building. The green space or the dark gray space is the theater, the 250-seat fixed seat theater. There's a large stage space with a slight apron. The seats are tiered down. The stage level has access from the main lobby and the crossover gallery. Just to the north of that or front of that, that's the large multi-purpose lobby space. It's intended to be used for art galleries, various community uses, pre-function space for the assembly space, or for the adjacent multi-purpose spaces in the upper left-hand corner of the plan. Right below that are some storage spaces, the restrooms, and you see on the bottom of the screen, you see some mechanical rooms, storage space, and load-in areas. Here's some conceptual renderings. So this is a single-level building. This is the drop-off zone near the main entry. There's a small ticket office that you would pass by on your way into the lobby. A small little plaza zone and receive area that can also be used as a pre-function or multi-purpose space. Next rendering here shows the view from the northwest corner, what you would see closer to the pool. The material palette is kind of a modest material palette with some wood, brick, and honed CMU. Large canopy overhang over the front plaza. Here's a section cut so you can see into the building. You can see the large assembly space, the fixed seating space. You can see in this view it's set up for musical purposes with a small orchestra shell in this particular view. Some elevations on here. The large assembly space is a story and a half. The rest of the spaces that surround it are a single story. And some elevation views, north-southeast elevation views, again with the honed CMU, the brick, and some wood accent features. We also included a preliminary site utility plan. We will be connecting to some adjacent utilities, and a preliminary landscape material palette on here. We're going to adhere to the 15% minimum requirement for drought-tolerant landscaping on site. There's a walkway that connects from Viridian Way and the parcel to the north to help funnel patrons and guests to the center of the building. I think that's it for our portion.
Does anybody have any questions? I forgot I had the magic button up here. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Just that this is in a public facility zone. It's located between the pool and the rodeo grounds. And, of course, staff recommends approval of this with one modification to the conditions of approval. Condition number 2, that it, because of the change of government and change of appeal bodies coming up, depending on when a potential appeal may be made, that should read that per Title 15, Chapter 5, appeal may be made to the appropriate appeal authority. And that is all staff has.
Does anybody have any questions? This has been noticed as a public hearing. If any member of the public would like to comment about the conditional use for this particular project on this particular piece of land, please come forward, state your name and address, and comments are now open. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no public comments, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the Planning Commission. Commissioner England.
That's a beautiful building. I like what you guys have done. And with that, I'll just go ahead with the motion. I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary site plan and conditional use permit for West Jordan Community Arts Center located at 8135 South, 2200 West in the Public Facilities Zone District, subject to conditions 1 and 2 of the staff report, with the amendment of condition 2 to read, appeal may be made to the appropriate appeal authority.
Commissioner Thomas.
I'll second that.
Any discussion to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I voted aye too. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I see Mr. Gardner pulling the microphone close. Would you like some comments?
Yeah, I want to thank the commission for a successful 2019. I think it's been a good year for the city. And Calvin, congratulations. Moving on up, I guess, in the words of the Jeffersons. But it's been a pleasure serving the Planning Commission for this last year and the last 3 years with Calvin working. I think you've brought a strong voice to the commission, and I think that will continue, hopefully, with the city council. And we look forward to 2020. There's a couple of big projects that'll be coming across the Planning Commission's the dais in the next few weeks and months, and so it should be a good year. But everyone have a safe and happy holidays, and I thank you for all you've done. So.
Motion to adjourn, unless you've got words.
I was going to say it's been an honor and privilege. With that, I heard a motion to adjourn, and there's nobody that's going to argue with that. We're done for the night.